I'm sorry, Joe. I'm really, really sorry. I know after the last several months when I said I wouldn't talk about politics and sports, that I really meant. By now, just about everyone that's watching this knows where I'm going with this. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and President Trump and the whole fiasco around their invite to the White House. For those that are under a rock waiting for the Cleveland Browns to get to the Super Bowl, the originally planned visit for the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles, which was supposed to be this week, was canceled last minute. As was widely expected, this has to do with the NFL's policy on the national anthem, which just came out, which is that either you stand or you stay in the locker room or you get fined. So with that dispute, Trump uninvited them and both sides had their own separate events. First of all, and this is the big thing, Trump didn't necessarily set the policy. Yes, he laid some direct and indirect pressure with his rhetoric about the NFL and how they're treating the national anthem. But ultimately, it wasn't his call on the policy. It was the owners. It was the commissioner, Roger Goodell. It was the NFL, a private business who legally has every right to institute a ban. Personally, however, I'm not that much of a fan of clamping down on free speech. In my opinion, let's let the court of opinion know that whatever you're doing is either a champion of civil rights or is a complete idiotic move. And this leads to my second point, which is that the Philadelphia Eagles weren't exactly coming in good faith. After saying how many people would be attending to the event, they came within the last week and said, we're only going to have 3. Obviously, that would be an even worse PR disaster than uninviting them, because you're going to show up and we're going to celebrate the Philadelphia Eagles, but hardly anyone is there. But then they said, we'll be able to come back in full next week. Doesn't matter if you have this big peace talk with this country called North Korea. I'm sure that's not important. So what this kind of tells me is that the Eagles never really had any intentions of coming in good faith at all. And this has also spread to other sports. LeBron James, for example, said that regardless of whether the Cavaliers or the Warriors win the NBA Finals, he doesn't see either team really going into the White House. In hockey, it's the same thing. Some players have already said, we don't want to go if we win. And that's fine. That's their right. Just because you're invited doesn't mean you have to go. Let's take a similar event that happened exactly today, actually. The Hall of Famer Terrell Owens, who is going into the NFL Hall of Fame on his 3rd year of eligibility. He said he's not attending his own induction ceremony. In the past, Owens has felt that the writers had snubbed him the first 2 years he was on the ballot, so the logical assumption is that he is snubbing them. I don't see any reason to fault Owens for what he's doing or the NFL writers. It's like being invited to the White House. It doesn't mean you have to accept. But it also doesn't mean you don't look stupid for not showing up. Just because you believe in a certain ideology does not mean that the people who look up to you do as well. After all, this is America. We believe in so many different things, like my girlfriend liking the Mets and us liking the Yankees, Joe. Yeah, still don't know how that works out. You never have the obligation to have to go, but you probably should. But that is just how I believe, and I'm sure, Joe, you have a different stance on this. I'd like to hear your opinion and everyone else's. I'll see you next time.